anything goes sour in the president's economic plans, he almost always blames the business community as default. Bankers are greedy and hoarding cash. Insurance companies are vultures, preying on the sick. Oil companies are polluters. But after 2 years as president, Mr. Obama can't keep blaming others when things go wrong. He's got to take ownership for the effect his policies have had in the economy. The question is whether there's room in Obamonomics for trust between the president and the business community. Let's ask Herman Cain about that trust. He is former CEO and chairman of Godfather's Pizza, who some say could also be a future contender for the office of the presidency himself. We have heard about that, Herman. We're going to ask you about it coming up. But what about the president and his attempts to reach out and shake hands with the business community? Will it succeed or fail?
Well, the short answer, David, unfortunately, is it will fail. If you look at his attempt to reach across the aisle on health care, it was more for show when they had this big meeting than it was to get anything actually done. The president did a nice photo op. They spent hours sucking up media time and news time for them to not take any of the ideas that were presented by the Republicans. Secondly, passage of the health care reform bill. The bill itself is anti-business. And when they put grenades in there, like a requirement for 1099s that has nothing to do with health care, that raises the level of mistrust.
Of course, Herman, even the president himself says that that's up for negotiation, and some people like Barney Frank, some Democrats who push the health care bill say we're going to take it out. So there is some room for discussion on points of the health care bill that are anti-business, no?
That is cutting off a hangnail when the whole foot is gangrened. David, that might be a little olive branch. That bill needs to be repealed. Look at all of the companies that are asking for waivers because of what it will force them to do with their employees. And then here's another big issue as far as the president trying to reach out to the business community to establish trust. When you make a lot of campaign promises, whether they are business related or not, David, and you break a lot of them, how confident is the business community going to be that he's going to keep his word? The answer is zero. Now, here's the biggest one. This whole issue of not knowing what the tax rates are going to be January 1st, 2011, if the president understood business at all, he or his administration would have insisted that this issue would have already been settled.
Right.
So unfortunately, the outreach and let's have a summit, let's have a meeting, he's going to go to the chamber, it's just going to eat up a lot of very valuable media time, David, in my opinion, although I wish I were wrong on this, but it's not going to accomplish anything. If the president and his administration and the Democrats wanted to send a message to the business community that they are, in fact, business friendly, reduce the top corporate tax rate. Do something about not raising taxes on capital gains. Let us know what the tax environment is going to be in 2011.
Do you think that there's too much water on the bridge, too many bad charges from business to Obama and vice versa, that there would ever be any kind of agreement between the two sides?
Well, I think that it would be a great step, David, in beginning to rebuild that trust. You know, building trust is like building a wall, one brick at a time. And until the business community sees one brick put in place, then another brick put in place, and he sticks with it, that's how you rebuild the trust. It's not going to be done with one summit or one meeting or one appearance in front of the board of directors or the members of the chamber or any other business group, unfortunately. Too much damage has been done. It's going to take a long time and a lot of actual business-friendly decisions in order for people to begin to believe again that he really wants to work with the business community.
Herman, let me ask you, if he reached out specifically to you and said, Herman Cain, as CEO and chairman of Godfathers, you know a lot about how businesses run, small business, you know how to plan for the future. I want you to be part of the team that helps me making decisions about regulations and taxes. Would you join up?
I sure would. I would, you know, I wouldn't be able to give up my day job, obviously, but I would be happy to provide, you know, advice and counsel, work with the president in order to try to figure out the things that he needs to do. I'm more concerned about the future of this country than I am about what political party is in charge.
That's right.
And this sort of thing. So if the president had reached out to me, and I'm sure a lot of other businessmen who are conservative in their views, we would have been happy to offer advice and suggestions based upon our business experience. I put the country first, not political party. So if he reaches out, or if he had reached out, I would have been more than happy to provide some advice and counsel.
Herman, I know you put the country first, but what about yourself and your own political future? Are there any plans for you to run for president?
It is no secret that I am prayerfully considering running for president of the United States. And I got to be very honest with you. The results of the election on November 2nd put me one step closer to making the decision to run. And here's why. I am so disturbed by the current direction of this country with this president and this administration that I felt as if I had to do something dramatic in terms of what would I do differently. And what I concluded, David, is that simply being, with all due respect, a congressman or a senator, we need bolder, stronger leadership and ideas for where this country is today based upon the accelerated of the damage that's been done in the last 2 years. It didn't just start within the last 2 years, but the damage has been accelerated. And what frustrates me and a lot of people and the Citizens Tea Party movement, as well as a lot of other organizations, David, is that we are nowhere near moving in the right direction. And so my dad used to give me some advice when I was a young man. He said, if you see a situation and you don't like it, then try and do something about it. You can either sit there and complain about it, or you can use your talents and abilities to try and change things. So yes, I am one step closer to making a final decision in terms of running for president of the United States.
Well, the apple didn't fall far from the tree, by the way, Herman. It sounds like you've inherited a lot of good habits from your father. And by the way, it would be wonderful to have a businessman who knows how to balance the books, deal with the U.S. budget. Talk about a big book that needs to be balanced. There's none bigger than the U.S. budget. It'd be great to have a businessman who knew a little bit about the bottom line to do that.
And
Herman,
let me tell you that.
Yeah, quickly.
Thanks. And one last thing. The other great thing I got from my dad is he was a master of common sense. And that's the other thing that we are greatly missing in how this country is currently being run.
Absolutely. There's common sense is not very common, as my wife always tells me. Herman, great to see you. Thank you very much for being here.